Welcome to this week's Candidate Voices with 5051 Savannah, the series that brings you 5-minute interviews with candidates for Georgia's 1st Congressional District U.S. House election 2026. We welcome any candidates running for this office who meet our mission of upholding the Constitution and ending executive overreach to participate. Each of our candidates receive the same question in advance and are allowed to prepare. Welcome to week 10 of Candidate Voices with 5051 Savannah, and welcome Joey. For this final week, please tell us why you should get our votes in the May 2026 primary election so that you're our candidate in November 2026 general election.
Thank you for having me. And I believe I'm the best candidate for this seat because I've lived the struggles that too many families in our district face. And I know firsthand that our government isn't working the way it should. Yet many of my fellow candidates who simply think our problems began with Trump, it began decades ago when both parties began putting the wealthy and corporations first through deregulation, lower tax rates, and a global market to freely trade on, with the promise that those benefits would trickle down. Well, since the 1970s, CEO pay has increased there 1,000% versus 24% for the typical worker. When you look around your communities, do you seem like they're 1,000% richer? Because I don't. When my son Jason was just a little boy, he fought battles no child should ever have to face. He had open heart surgery at 4 years old. He was battling cancer. I had to fight every single day to be his advocate, because even doctors didn't always know what was best for him. And the system certainly wasn't built to make it easier. I had to use my medical knowledge, my instinct as a father, and every ounce of strength I had just to make sure he had a chance. While we were going through that, I couldn't ignore the bigger picture: how broken our healthcare system is, how families like mine are left to struggle, while insurance companies and pharmaceutical companies make record profits. That experience didn't just change my life; it lit a fire in me for change. That's why I went and earned my bachelor's degree in political science. I wanted to understand why the system is so stacked against working people. And what I found out is the real cause of so many of our problems come down to one thing: money in politics. Our economy, our healthcare system, our schools, they're all shaped by who has the most influence in Washington. And too often that's billionaires, corporations, and lobbyists, and not the people that they're supposed to be serving. A 2014 study out of Princeton and Northwestern proved it. It showed that the preferences of everyday Americans had little to no effect on government policies. Think about that. The voices of regular people don't even move the needle in Washington, but wealthy and powerful folks get whatever they want. That's why Republicans deliver taxes to corporation billionaires. That's why Democrats, even when they have power, too often fall short and deliver just crumbs for us. Meanwhile, families like ours are still being left further behind. And here's the truth: my opponents don't want to say out loud. The problems we face, like I said, again, go deeper than one man or one party. It's not just enough to say Donald Trump, Republicans are bad. The reality is the system is broken. It's rigged. This is what allowed Donald Trump to rise in the first place. You can't leave people struggling for decades. You can't hollow out entire communities that once thrived. You can't ignore working families while serving the wealthy and then expect there to be no consequences. People are angry. People are unseen. And people feel forgotten. And for far too long, people like me have been forgotten by both parties. And this is also where I see a difference between me, myself, and my other Democratic challengers in this race. Too often I see more of the same status quo. Are they willing to go on TV and call out corruption inside their own party, like members of Congress who make millions of dollars trading stock with insider knowledge? Are they willing to fight for working people with the same intensity that Republicans fight Democrats with when they're trying to protect the wealthy, even if that means shutting down the government, holding up a debt ceiling vote? They willing to stand up for the party leadership, even if it means breaking with insiders and putting working families first? I don't see that kind of fight from them, but I promise you I won't back down. And here's another piece of the puzzle: you can't just throw money at problems and expect things to be fixed. You have to follow up. You have to make sure those policies are being implemented well. You have to make sure those solutions actually reach people in Georgia's first district. I saw this during COVID, and I still see it now. Families who are eligible for programs that could change their lives, programs that their own tax dollars are funding because but yet they have no idea they even exist because of poor messaging from representatives. That's not leadership, that's neglect, and that's exactly what I'll change. That's what sets me apart. I don't just talk about these struggles, I live them. I know what it feels like to sit in a hospital room not knowing if your child's ever going to walk again due to cancer treatment. I know what it's like to work nearly 17 years as a vet tech, pick up shifts at UPS on the side, and still barely scrape by. I know what it's like to feel invisible to the people in power, but I also know what needs to change. We need leaders who don't just chase headlines or donors, but actually show up for the people they represent. That's why I'll open more district office. That's why I'll hold monthly town halls. That's why I'll be present in our communities. because representation isn't about holding a title, it's about being a voice for the people you serve. When I say I'm the best candidate for this seat, it's not because I had the fanciest resume, because I definitely don't. It's because I had the lived experience, the passion, the fire to fight for people who've been left behind. Left behind. I'm not bought for. I'm not paid for. My campaign's funded by both grassroots donors like myself. Average donation is $12. I'm I'm not interested in excuses. I'm interested in results. I believe we finally can build a government that delivers for the working class people on healthcare, on wages, on education, on housing. But it starts with leaders who remember who they're fighting for, remember where they came from. And I promise you this: I'll never forget where I came from. I'll never forget what my family has been through, and I'll never stop fighting for families like yours. And that's why I'm running, and that's why I believe I'm the best candidate for this seat, because my fight is your fight, and together we can finally build a system that puts people first and not billionaires.